following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Friday edition of Main Street Sports Today. The Hall of Famer Mo Patton, Chris Yao will talk with Jerry Palm, CBS Bracketologist. It is March. Also, the Vols Bob Kesling, the voice of the Vols, will be joining us as well to prep us for Tennessee's run in the SEC tournament. All that and more comes your way now. Once again, with Mo, here's Chris.
Oh, man, what a Friday it's going to be here on Main Street Sports Today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I am Chris Yao, the Sundrop Kid, and joined by the Hall of Famer, as always, Mo Patton. Mo, it's nice. I see you are at home. I'm in the studio here because it's the easiest way for me to get it done. But you being at home today because all week long it's been night after night basketball, and finally a little bit of a break.
The calm before the storm, I guess, because we've got a break tonight. We've got girls sectionals tomorrow, got boys sectionals on Monday, and then the girls state tournament begins on Tuesday. Now, we're used to it getting started on Wednesday, but with the fourth class that all of a sudden nobody wanted, it created an expansion of the state tournament if you're bringing 8 to state in each of the 4 classes. So next week's going to be a lot of fun.
It's funny because I have done some canvassing of my own to see if there is any interest in going back, and it certainly seems to be a popular thought process. So certainly interesting, to say the least.
It is.
Anyway, Mo, we've got a massive rundown today. Like this weekend schedule, I went and got softball from the OVC, the A-Sun. I went and got everything that I could find. It took me an hour to put this together. So,
and we still likely will have left something out.
We will definitely have left something out, but we've got almost as comprehensive a list of things you can go do this weekend if you are looking for some outdoor activities, and you should be, because it's going to be phenomenal. So let's get into it. We've got last night's results, this entire weekend schedule coming at you on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown. The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support local youth sports in southern Middle Tennessee.
High school boys basketball action from Thursday night. As we mentioned, region finals in 6-4A. Independence falls in overtime 59-55 to Ravenwood. In 5-2A, Summertown continues to roll with a 71-64 victory over Fairview. And in 5-1A down at Wayne County, Santa Fe with a 3-pointer from freshman Alden Slaughter with 6 seconds left beats Richland 41-38.
In NCAA men's action, Liberty defeated Lipscomb, ending the Bison's season 52-47 in A-Sun tournament play. In the OVC tournament, Tennessee State falls to SEMO 79-55, ending the Tigers' year. In women's action, the SEC tournament, Florida edges Vanderbilt 53-52, controversially.
Yes.
And controversially and in overtime. And in A-Sun play, Austin Peay advances over Tennessee State 67-53.
Today's NCAA men's basketball schedule of local interest in the OVC tournament at Evansville. Moorhead takes on Belmont. That's a 9:30 start on ESPNU. In NCAA women's basketball action, the SEC tournament at Bridgestone, Alabama takes on 18th ranked Tennessee. That's an 8:30 start that can be seen on the SEC network. And in OVC action at Evansville, Indiana, Belmont and Austin Peay are on the court right now.
In baseball action today at 4 o'clock on YouTube, you can watch NIU at Lipscomb, or you can just go. That's up to you. Belmont's hosting Dayton. Belmont hosting Dayton at 4 o'clock, and Middle Tennessee State is down in Mobile, and I'm mad at them. 6:30 first pitch at South Alabama on ESPN Plus. Mo, the big one today. I'm going to let you talk about it.
Oh, okay. The big one today. Number 17, University of Tennessee gets to go out to Austin, take on top-ranked Texas. That's a 7 o'clock start. Surely that's got to be on TV somewhere. Meanwhile,
I couldn't find it. I don't know where it is, but I'm sure it is, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
Gotta be. Number 5, Vanderbilt starts a 4-game series tonight out at Hawaii. That begins at 10:35 Nashville time. Softball today, Dartmouth is at number 7. Wow, the baseball and the softball teams are both ranked 17th.
Very weird, huh?
Yeah. Dartmouth plays at UT at 2 o'clock right now on SEC Network Plus, and that game will be followed by Virginia and Tennessee at 4:30, also on SEC Network Plus.
Tomorrow, high school girls basketball action at Westview. Loretto taking the long trip to Martin. That's a 7 p.m. tip. It's going to be a lot of fun. Summertown hosting Gibson County. That's also a 7 o'clock tip down in Summertown. NCAA men's action tomorrow, of course, 11 a.m. ESPN, 14th ranked Arkansas at Thompson Bowling Arena against the 13th ranked Tennessee Volunteers. That's going to be a phenomenal game. Middle Tennessee State is at Old Dominion, 1 p.m. tip on ESPN Plus. Vanderbilt takes on Ole Miss down in Oxford at 5 o'clock on SEC Network, and the OVC Championship game can be seen on ESPN2 at 7:30, presumably featuring Belmont, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe. NCAA women, the OVC finals are at 2 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Old Dominion is at MTSU. That's a 2 o'clock game. SEC tournament semifinals are at 4 and 6:30. Those can both be seen on ESPNU.
Softball action, Tennessee hosting South Alabama tomorrow, 11:30 start on SEC Network Plus. Tennessee State is taking on Florida at noon, and Belmont will be playing Arkansas Pine Bluff. Don't know what time, don't know where it is, don't know nothing. It's just that's happening. It's a thing. So there you go.
Saturday. You're going in and out on me, Chris. I apologize. Kent State is at Austin Peay. That's a 1 o'clock start on ESPN Plus. Northern Illinois is at Lipscomb. That's a 2 o'clock game and can be seen on YouTube. MTSU again is at South Alabama. That's a 2 o'clock start on ESPN Plus. Also at 2 o'clock, Dayton is at Belmont. Baylor plays Tennessee at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and Vanderbilt and Hawaii play a doubleheader that begins at 5:05 tomorrow evening.
NBA action, the Magic are at the Grizzlies, 7 p.m. In NHL, the Preds are at San Jose at 7 p.m. And in MLS action, Nashville Soccer Club taking on Minnesota at 5 p.m.
In Sunday baseball action, Tennessee plays Oklahoma. That's an 11 o'clock start. Northern Illinois again at Lipscomb. That's a 1 o'clock start on YouTube. Also at 1 o'clock, MTSU and South Alabama on ESPN Plus. Dayton at Belmont, 5 o'clock start. 5:05 on ESPN Plus.
Softball action, Belmont takes on Central Arkansas and Arkansas Pine Bluff. So I assume they're in Arkansas somewhere, Mo. Georgia State and Tennessee State will play. Middle Tennessee State has a doubleheader, one of those games against Georgia Southern, Mo, and that is friend of the show, Sharon Perkins' team.
There we go.
And the other game against Radford. The Grizzlies will be at Houston at 6 p.m., and that's obviously NBA action, and I think that's as much as I've got. So that's going to do it for today's rundown.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. All righty. There we go. There's some different music. I was waiting on the buzzer and it never came. Oh, man. All right. Jerry Palm joining us on the show. I'm going to have to leave it to Mo because I have some other things I need to take care of. So I'm going to leave it with you, Mo. Take care of Jerry. We got high school hoops, Bob Kesling, some interesting news about a local college potentially coming out, and we'll get into all of the baseball, softball, women's tournament action, all of that coming up in today's show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. This is Main Street Sports Today. We'll be back after this. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Okay. Okay. All right. Hey, welcome back into Main Street Sports Today. I'm Maurice Patton, kind of riding solo here to some degree because Chris Yao had some other needs to take care of. But JP, do we have our guest?
We do. Yes, Jerry's.
We do. Okay, that's awesome. Well, joining us on the line right now is CBSSports.com bracketologist Jerry Palm, as we close in on men's basketball conference tournaments, or we've got men's basketball conference tournaments going on in a lot of cases, and move toward Selection Sunday, which is a week from this week. So what's that, the 13th, I guess? So it's getting to be about that time. Jerry, appreciate you taking some time with us today. I know you are on the move today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, on my way to New York for a week and a half of TV and video.
I would say that's fun, but is that fun?
Oh yeah, it's a blast. Yeah, I love being out there. There's a whole different energy to doing that than sitting at my kitchen table or at my desk and doing things. So yeah, it's an exciting time of year.
Awesome. Looking at your article here on CBSSports.com, CBSSports.com, that was posted about 4 hours ago. So this is pretty live here. Your top seeds as of right now: number one is Gonzaga, Auburn, Arizona, and Baylor.
Yep. Yeah, in that order. That's right. Yeah.
In that order. So those are the top four national seeds, basically. Gonzaga number 1, Auburn the number 2 seed, and they would be in the Midwest in your projections. Arizona the number 3 and would be in the South. Baylor going to the East as the number 4. So if the S curve holds, and that makes Duke your number 5, followed by Wisconsin, Kansas, and Kentucky. Is that right?
Yeah, no, there's no S curve.
There's no S curve.
There's really no attempt even to S curve. Yeah, I mean they did last year because the tournament was all played in one place, but generally speaking, that the teams, they won't put number 1 overall and number 5 overall together. But there's no effort made to snake the bracket like that. The primary goal is to keep teams as close to home as possible.
Okay. All right.
So Kansas is actually 5th overall.
Okay. So keeping teams as close to home as possible, how does Auburn wind up number 1 in the Midwest? Just out of curiosity.
Because Chicago is the closest regional site to Auburn.
Okay.
There's nothing close. I mean, Philly's farther, San Antonio's farther, San Francisco. So that happens to be the closest site for Auburn.
Okay. All right. Cool. Obviously, the biggest thing to folks that are paying attention to this around here is the SEC in general and Tennessee in particular. How high up do you feel like they can get themselves, and where do you have them right now?
I have Tennessee as a 4, 13th overall, so the top number 4. And there's plenty of room to go up because, if you go on and win all the way out through an SEC tournament and beat some of these better teams in the league, there's definitely a chance for upward mobility. A 1 is probably out of reach. I think they have too many losses for that, but certainly an SEC champion Tennessee would have a good shot at being a 2.
Okay. All right, and with their 3 top 6 wins already, they've kind of put themselves in position for that upward mobility that you referred to there.
Yeah, the only real, I guess, negative about Tennessee's tournament resume is that all of their best wins have come at home. So I kind of call them a high-level home court hero, as opposed to somebody at the bottom of the bracket who really has to show they can win away from home. Tennessee has won away from home, but they haven't beaten the better teams on their schedule away from home yet. So I think the best away from home win that Tennessee has is North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So for me, for really Tennessee to move up, they need to show that they can beat some of these better teams away from home. And then of course, the conference tournament is away from home. So that's another opportunity to do that.
Yeah. In Tampa, as we have mentioned on more than one occasion on this show, got 4 SEC teams in your top 14 seeds, I guess, with Arkansas along with Auburn and Kentucky. How many SEC teams would you see realistically getting into the field of 68?
Well, 6 for sure, because LSU and I was going to say Arkansas, but they're in the top 16 already. Alabama has dropped out. So those 6 are going to be in. And then the other one that's really in question is Florida. And there really isn't anyone else, barring some sort of run from nowhere, that would really be a shot at being an at-large team. Florida's really got the best chance. And they have a great opportunity this weekend hosting Kentucky to get the kinds of wins that they need to secure a spot as an at-large. But if that doesn't happen, they're going to have to do some damage in the conference tournament.
Looking at the SEC over the course of this season from where we are, it just feels like it's really been a wild ride when you look at who's beaten who and that kind of thing. Has the national perception of this league been that as well, Jerry?
I think to some degree, yeah. I mean, it's been, Kentucky has had a hard time staying healthy. Healthy Kentucky is one of the best teams in the country, no question. Threat to win all of it. Auburn's had a fantastic season. Alabama has played a ridiculous schedule, and every once in a while, I think the grind of that schedule comes up and bites them, like maybe the other day when they lost at home to A&M. Arkansas was supposed to be a preseason top 25 team, or maybe even further up than that, and they struggled big time until the last month and a half, and now all of a sudden they've caught fire, and they're playing all the way up the bracket. I think when I started doing weekly brackets right after the football championship game, I don't think Arkansas was in it, and now they're a 4th seed just because they've been so good over the last month and a half. So it has been kind of wild to say the least in the SEC this year.
Moving outside the SEC, obviously Murray State has put themselves in really good shape to even withstand a loss in the OVC tournament and maybe get an at large. I mean, at 28-2, surely, and with their previous history, which I know isn't supposed to necessarily be in the room, but their tradition doesn't matter.
Tradition doesn't mean anything this year. Not this year, no.
Okay.
But they've had a fantastic season. Their schedule's not very good because of their league. They played a decent non-conference schedule, but their league outside of Belmont and maybe Moorhead this year, is a bunch of quad 4 teams. So it drags their strength of schedule down. But I think if they lose I think today would be a problem because it's I think Southeast Missouri. But but if they lose to Belmont or Moorhead, I think that Murray State's an at-large team, and they might even be if they lose today. But they've had a fantastic season, and somebody that I would not want to see on my half of the bracket if I was a bigger school, because that's a team that's come after you.
No doubt. They feel like they are supposed to be there, and I think that's one of the biggest things about them.
Oh yeah. They're not afraid of anybody.
No, shifting over to Conference USA. Is that a 1-bid league this year?
Yeah. North Texas has had a good season, but they didn't do enough outside the league to withstand an upset in the conference tournament. UAB also just not quite a good enough play in non-conference in order to even make a run at an at-large spot. So I think it's just going to end up being a 1-bid league this year. And for Conference USA fans, you kind of, unless it's your school you're rooting for, you kind of hope for North Texas because they give you the best chance to have a team advance. After last year they beat Purdue in the tournament, and then they're having another great year again this year. So North Texas is probably the team that gives Conference USA the best chance to win a game.
Okay. Speaking with Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com, bracketologist, as we consider conference tournaments and the NCAA's, again, Selection Sunday, a week from this Sunday. It's right upon us. And Jerry, as you spend that week and some change in New York, what is that like? I mean, it's got to be, hoops heaven, I would think.
Oh yeah. Well, so when we're on the air, I mean, obviously we're given the halftime show or the in between game shows, but during the game, the analysts and I and some of the researchers are in our green room, if you will, where we've got like 12 TVs and 4 or 5 or 6 games going, and just talking about all of the teams that we're watching and other teams too. There's just a lot of an exchange of information, which for me is great because I'm talking to guys like Wally Zerbiak, former players that are had been immersed in college basketball, and I get a lot of knowledge from them. So I think it really helps me with what I'm trying to do, and then they get to learn a little bit about what I'm doing too. So it's really a great way to watch. It's like the sports bar without the bar part.
You've got your first 4 here, Jerry, and you've got both Memphis and Florida as an 11 right now. And this Memphis team is one that here locally has kind of been tough to figure, and I think they've probably been tough to figure on a national level as well. But what do you think about this team as it gets into the American Athletic Conference tournament and ideally into the NCAA's?
Yeah, talent's never been the problem. The whole time Penny's been there, talent's never been the problem. It's just chemistry, I think experience, things like that. The just the way they play together or not has been the problem during Penny's time there. It's not always easy to mix really talented guys together who are used to being, the primary option. When you got 5 guys out there like that, you can't all be the primary option. So sometimes that's difficult, and he's really been frustrated at times this year. But lately, they have really come on strong. Beat Houston in Houston. SMU gives them trouble, and then they also have a win over Alabama outside the league, which is big for them. They're going to get Houston at home to end the regular season, go in the conference tournament. They beat Houston. They've got some comfort going into that conference tournament. Otherwise, they might have a little bit of work to do to feel good on Selection Sunday. But this is the most promising position Memphis has been in at this time of year, the whole time Penny's been there.
Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com, bracketologist, with us here on Main Street Sports. Jerry, appreciate you taking some time with us, and enjoy those 12 screens up there.
It'll be great. I'm looking forward to being around all those really smart people.
That'll be great. Hey, appreciate it.
Right.
That was all right. Hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports today, JP and I are going to tonight's region finals, Saturday's girls sectionals, and a lot more. Stay with us.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
All right, welcome back to Main Street Sports today. JP here, pinch hitting for one Chris Yao, but still have the Hall of Famer, Mo Patton. Wearing his Hank Aaron shirt today, by the way. Of course, if you happen to be watching. Still no baseball, but we'll get into that later. We do have some high school sports, basketball in particular, to talk about. As Mo gets a Friday night off for a change, a night off, period. Mo, which is a big deal after region district tournaments. But we have all of the sectional round matchups, both girls and boys. I believe that's correct. They were all scheduled to be concluded last night. I don't think we had any postponements. So we can quick recap and look ahead to the one win away from the Glass House. It's an exciting time in high school basketball.
And no doubt. And for Lawrence Countyans, a lot of big doings up in the north end of the county as Summertown picked up a 71-64 victory last night over Mount Pleasant High School. Chris was on hand for that one, and as we mentioned, he is taking care of some other duties as we speak. But no, nothing new for the Eagles. Grayson and Gavin Burleson combined for 26 points in the opening half, 56 for the game. So 56 of 71. You can kind of do the math there. Obviously, Summertown's bread is buttered by those two guys, and the Eagles are going to go as far as those two can take them. And that was the case again last night.
Yeah, Mo, it wouldn't be a Summertown story without a Burleson headline in there.
At least one.
At least one. And you got
Yeah.
to, of course, their dad, Jason, is on the bench as well, helping out Wes Long, and so they've got a lot. A lot. It's all in the family.
Man, there are a lot of family ties there
Yep.
because I just realized, I guess, last week when I was covering one of their games, the guy that keeps the book for Summertown's boys and girls is Brian Long.
Yep.
Now, Brian is Wes's dad,
Correct.
and he is girls coach Jeremy Jean's father-in-law.
Okay. Now, see, that's new to me. I think that's new to me. So, but that makes a lot of sense.
Right?
Yep.
For the
Makes a lot
Lady
of sense.
Eagles games and
Yep.
and vice versa. So, like you said, it really is all in the family, and it's not just a Burleson thing down there either. A lot of family ties down there, and I guess that makes it a little bit more fun or a little bit more painful depending on how things are going. Yeah. So
Well, it's and talking about the Burleson boys, of course, their dad Jason was instrumental in getting his team to a state tournament when he was there. They had a couple of other appearances shortly after that, but it's been a little bit for the boys getting up there, and they've got a really good shot now. And I tell you, there are a few places that are harder to win on sectional round than at the Eagles Nest in Summertown in that gym. It's just a fantastic home advantage, and they get both the girls and boys at home.
yeah, it's it's a tough place to play a big game, I think. And I think the gym has a lot to do with that, but I also think the home team has a little something to do with it as well. And like you said, the Lady Eagles are at home tomorrow night in sectional play following their 62-53 region championship win over Loretto, the team down south in Lawrence County. And so it'll be Summertown hosting Gibson County on the girls' side tomorrow night, and Loretto being road dogs, as Ashley Rutledge said, and heading out to Westview. And had a chance to talk to both Loretto athletic director Brian True and Summertown principal /AD Lane Henson earlier this week about Summertown and Loretto's girls played in the Class A state championship game last year. It was the fourth time the two of them had met. Moved up to 2A this time around for basketball, for baseball, and for softball. And it seems like they've not missed a beat. And, making that transition as seamlessly as they have in basketball has been, pretty impressive, I think.
It is impressive. And, of course, a lot of the same characters coming back from both of those teams. And so you would expect them to be extremely competitive. But you're right. I mean, Loretto, talk about them. They were number one essentially all season long on the girls' side, with their only losses coming to Creekwood and then the game earlier this week to Summertown. But when you've got players like Carly Weathers and the supporting cast there, it almost doesn't matter what classification. So, yeah, it is quite remarkable to think about it. But because both of those, Mo, have been so good over the last several years, it's really not a surprise to some. You almost have to kind of take a step back and remind yourself, hey, they moved up in classification, and they're still where they were last year on the road to the state tournament. Now, talking about Loretto going on the road, I think they are better prepared for that road trip to Westview than maybe Summertown would be. And so I think this is the best case pairing for both of these two to get back to the state tournament, because these cross regions, these are four of the best basketball teams and girls in that classification, without question. I think all four probably, Mo, I don't know, maybe ranked in the top 10. I know at least 3 of those, but, a lot of tradition. And so this is a tough bracket to come out. Only 2 of these are going to come out, but I think it sets up best for Loretto and Summertown, respectively, with Summertown being at home and Loretto traveling.
Well, I'll let you tell Ashley Rutledge that, but I mean, Gibson
Obviously, you want to be at home, but I think between the 2, I think Loretto is better suited to win on the road than Summertown.
And I think all 4 of these teams are 4 of the best teams possibly in any classification. I mean, I think they could hold their own in a lot of other environments. But to your point, I lost my train of thought, JP. Where was I going?
Talking about both of these teams suited to come out of this bracket.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think Summertown probably matches up more favorably with Gibson County than perhaps they would have with Westview, particularly in a road situation. So I don't know that you're wrong. It's just I'm not sure that Ashley was necessarily willing to take that hit for both of them.
Oh no,
So.
well no, but but I do think I think when you've got Carly Weathers, I think you can take her to any gym in the state and have a chance to win. And I think there's a better chance for Loretto to get that road win than probably Summertown. And when you throw in Summertown's home court advantage, I think that bodes even more advantageous for them going in. And I think Loretto has a good chance to win on the road. So I think this is the best case for both of them to advance.
For both of them, yes.
Both of them.
Yeah. Swinging back to the guys' side for just a second, couple of exciting ball games last night. One an overtime affair as Independence fell to Ravenwood 59-55 in overtime, but both of them will be going on. Beach, which was upset, I guess, lost 49-46 to Lebanon in the Region 5 4A finals. So Independence will travel to Lebanon on Monday. And again, Ravenwood gets a once beaten and highly motivated Beach team on Monday night.
Yeah, Mo, you and Chris have talked about it plenty about how the way Tennessee sets up their state tournament. You can lose 3 times, obviously, to get at the state tournament. Beach hadn't lost all year until last night. So, good for them that it was in one of those rounds where you could lose. Because in theory, if they had lost the previous round in the semis of the region, go undefeated all year, get upset in the semis, and you're done. But they move on. And over to the Independence, I was in the building with you when they throttled Columbia in those semifinals at Summit High School, and was not shocked when I saw that score with Ravenwood. But isn't that interesting that Ravenwood, gets that big overtime win, region champs, and you figure, that gets you away from Beach. No.
Nope.
They do get Beach at home. I don't know if that makes it any easier, but
I don't know if it does or not, because I'm sure that Beach coaching staff is going to be hammering on us against the world and all that other stuff. And so I think it'll be a game worth watching for sure, because I think Patrick Whitlock quietly does as good a job as anybody of getting his team ready. And he's got a lot of versatility with this squad that he's got this year. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. Meanwhile, Santa Fe, as we mentioned in the rundown, getting a 3-pointer out of its freshman guard Alden Slaughter with about 6 seconds remaining to defeat Richland, a team that went to the state tournament last year, 41-38. So Santa Fe will play a sectional game at home, first time ever for either basketball program to win a regional championship. They will be hosting West Carroll on Monday. Richland will travel to McKenzie on Monday, and see how those two come out. But I tell you, if you're going out to Santa Fe, you might want to get there pretty early, because not a big gym, and everybody in town is going to be there, I feel like. especially if their crowd last night was any indication, because I was shocked at the number of Santa Fe folks that were down in Waynesboro for that one.
Yeah, that's not an easy trip, but not too bad. But yeah, those community schools and true community schools, obviously Santa Fe, when they get to this point, Colioca, Hampshire, literally the whole community travels. It's a fun sight to see, and that's what makes high school basketball so special.
Absolutely. We'll be keeping up with these Saturday girls sectionals and with the Monday boys sectionals as we continue to move toward Murfreesboro for the next couple of weeks. So keep up with us in our coverage at mainstreetmurray.com, at mainstreetpreps.com. Xiao14 on Twitter. I'm at Mopatin_sports on Twitter. You can find JP's contributions at JPPSEC on Twitter, and we are trying to deliver the most timely and comprehensive coverage of area sports that you can find on a regular basis. So pretty proud to be able to do that. And JP?
Yes, sir.
I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
Let's go to the locker room.
You ready for a little halftime?
I'm ready for halftime. Let's go to halftime.
Pump you up for the second half, right?
Back out strong here on Main Street Sports Today. Stay with us.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
All right, it is halftime. JP and Mo hanging out with you here on Main Street Sports Today. Halftime often, Mo, means obviously getting a little rejuvenation. So food always comes to mind when we...
No, not us.
Yeah. If anyone says, hey, we need a topic, well, we can always go to food. So, Mo, you've been obviously going from gym to gym and community to community over the last, all season long, obviously, but on a nightly basis the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out for you, either that you have gotten on the road or hospitality rooms? Oftentimes, district and region tournaments will provide hospitality for media. Each place does it differently, but what are some of the highlights for you? or highlight of dishes, maybe?
Apparently Saturday for the boys. Friday for the girls. Region quarterfinals at Summit. They brought in fried chicken from the Jumbo House.
Oh.
And I was at the wrestling tournament, so I missed out on the fried chicken and the potato wedges, but I hear that they were outstanding. I will say this, snuck into the wrestling officials hospitality room at the state wrestling tournament up at the Ag Expo on Saturday, and one of the officials pork for the officials, and I don't know how those guys got down on the mat and called pins after indulging in that, but that was probably the best thing I've run across in postseason hospitality room activity to this point.
Look at you name dropping. Yeah, going somewhere where no others can go. You got to have a Mo Patton Hall of Fame type of a badge to go at.
The key to that is to just go in there like you're supposed to be there.
That's right. Act like you're supposed to be there, right, Mo?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing my whole career.
Yeah, well, that's what we do on a daily basis. Act like we're supposed to be on this show. So we'll continue to do that second half. Hey, excited to talk to Bob Kesling coming up, the voice of the Vols and the Vol Network, as one more game for Tennessee before they head south to Tampa. That's right, the SEC tournament in Tampa. So we'll talk with Bob about the Vols and their prospects heading into the postseason play. SEC women's tournament is going on. They're playing still right now, right, Mo? Aren't they still going on?
I believe so.
Still got 4 games today, so we'll touch on that as well. And TSU to the SWAC? Question mark. Mo and Chris will talk about it. Chris will be joining us back in the second half here coming up, so stay tuned. It's all straight ahead on Main Street Sports today. Stay with us.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
It is the second half of Main Street Sports today with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao. We'll be talking with Bob Kesling of the Vol Network. Also, a little SEC Women's Tournament update and more. Now back to Mo and Chris.
I'm back. Yeah.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Yeah. It's
pretty shady, actually, the way you left and came back. But
It was.
Isn't it? If you thought that was shady.
We'll talk.
Hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. I know that I'm curious if you got any extra nuggets out of that first segment. So I'm excited to go back and listen to it and
Hey,
watch
Chris.
it. If you guys miss it, yeah. What's up?
I got a nugget for you. Why don't you unplug and plug back in? We got a little static, a little crackle. So I'll mute you as you do that. As he comes back in with the studio. Oop, he's still working on it. Still working on it.
What did you want me to unplug, JP?
I don't know. Your microphone, maybe.
Whatever gets rid of that crackle.
Yep. Or the USB. Try the USB into your computer. See if that works. All right. While he does that, let me take him off there for just a moment, Mo.
Okay.
Let him do that as he gets back in with us. TSU to the SWAC. You know, this whole conference realignment has been really an entity unto itself. You know, we've talked with Extra Points Matt Brown on a few occasions, who follows this on a daily basis. But get us into this. What's the news now with TSU potentially moving?
Well, there's an article on the website hbcugameday.com by Stephen J. Gaither that says, and take this for what it's worth, but I'll read you the quote. SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClelland has reached out to Tennessee State, according to a tweet posted by Dr. Kenyatta Cavill of Inside the HBC Sports Lab. Quote, I can confirm the SWAC commissioner has reached out to the Tennessee State athletics director, and thus the proverbial ball is in the Big Blue Tigers' backcourt. Cavill tweeted on Wednesday. Did the SWAC reach out to TSU? Did TSU reach out to the SWAC? Has there been any communication between them, period? We don't know, but that's what's being reported. And, there is certainly a faction of the Tennessee State fan base that has wanted, A, to get out of the Ohio Valley Conference, and B, to get into the SWAC for 20 years or more. I mean, when I covered TSU back in the late 90s and early 2000s, going to the SWAC was a topic of discussion, and probably doesn't help or hurt, depending on which side of that transition you're on. The comments that Eddie George made a couple of weeks ago that the OVC was a dying conference, and that TSU needs to look out for itself. So, I don't know how far along this is. I don't know how realistic this is. Me personally, I have felt like the SWAC footprint is not really conducive to Tennessee State joining that conference. But with the uncertainty in the OVC these days, I think if you're not looking, then you're not acting in the best interests of your university. So that's... And I'm sure that Chris has thoughts as well.
I have a question, and you've been around the program long enough. You can potentially help me here. And I know the reason that TSU is in the OVC is because they wanted to play for national championships. And
which, by the way, has not come about.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, as well as I do, coaches and administrators hate to admit failure. And they certainly have always been the SWAC is a step back mindset. Now, obviously, the people who are there now.
I see what you're saying, but let me say two things. One, clearly there's nobody involved with TSU athletics that was involved in making that decision.
Sure. That was, yeah.
So,
and that's my question is this.
Mm-hmm.
with the SWAC being clearly a potential option now, do they feel like it's in their best interest to do that, or could they possibly explore a move up rather than over?
Up to 1A?
Yeah. You got Eddie George in house. People are starting to take notice.
I don't know if that notice is resulting in any change.
I'm just,
or perhaps not change, perhaps paper.
well, that is, that's kind of my question here, because it certainly seems like TSU wants to go into a different direction. They want to go, they want to be at the highest level they can possibly be at.
Well, I think right now, though, the biggest concern for TSU is who's going to be around them, who's going to be with them, because again, we've seen the shifting sands of the Ohio Valley Conference, and to me, it doesn't really feel like a good place to be at this point. And I think it's especially tough, TSU and the OVC offices being in the same town here. For TSU, just because you don't know who else is going to be there,
especially without Belmont. I think that's huge. That's a really difficult, and Austin P, I guess.
Well, without Belmont, but more so without Austin P, I think, just because Austin P has football.
Yeah, it's a curious case, and boy, that would make the TSU JSU games even more interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, because all of a sudden you get them home and home instead of in a classic.
Potentially.
Oh,
maybe not.
No, I don't think there's any. Deion's already public enemy number one in Memphis. He ain't going back.
No question there. Well, it's certainly an interesting thing to keep an eye on. So we should definitely do that, and we'll do that, of course. So let's take a break, because Bob Kesling awaits. He will join us on Main Street Sports today. After this, stick around. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today. Chris Yao alongside the Hall of Famer, National Sports Media Association's Sports Writer of the Year for the state of Tennessee, Mo Patton. Oh, I hate coming into the show in the middle because I don't have any idea what you guys have talked about. But I did want to mention that I really enjoyed last night's high school hoops, and I'm sure you got into it and all the upsets. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. Of course, if you don't have plans for Saturday night, go check out a high school basketball game near you. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend with a trip to the Glass House on the line for all the ladies who are playing. So again, great girls basketball to be seen across the mid-state, of course, anywhere in the Main Street sports area. Mo, I don't know if you found out, but the Texas-Tennessee game will be airing on MLB Network.
Oh, okay.
Just FYI.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I did not find out.
Now you know the rest of the story.
Exactly.
We're going to talk a little basketball, though. Not baseball just yet. It's still basketball season as the Tennessee Volunteers get set to host the 14th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks on Saturday. Again, that game at Thompson Bowling Arena can be seen on ESPN at 11 a.m. or you can listen to it wherever you get your Vol network. And when you listen, you will hear the golden tones of Bob Kesling, who now joins us on Main Street Sports today. Bob, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
That was a very generous introduction. I really appreciate that. Hey, you're talking about the high school games, going out to see them. I don't know if you've heard what's going on here in Knoxville today. This is one of the most unbelievable situations. There was apparently at the end of the Farragut William Blunt game the other night, there was a fracas at the end, and some players came off the bench. And so they were just going to say the game was over, and they weren't going to finish it. And so both schools appealed to the TSSAA, and they're going to finish it today at 5 o'clock with 1:30 left to go in the game. And each team will have 3 players. And
Gotcha.
they'll play the last 90 seconds of the game. And then after that, whoever wins the game then will take on Bearden. But the players are suspended, so they'll have to bring players off their JV roster to play the game later tonight. So I've never heard of such a thing, but that's going on here in just a little bit. And there'll be no fans allowed in. It's just going to be the players. And again, it'll be 3-on-3 for 90 seconds, and Farragut's up by 13. So I've never heard of such a thing. Maybe you guys have, but I've never heard of such a thing. But it'll be fun to see how that thing plays out here.
Well, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and we had our concerns because 2 things. One, the TSSAA letter said that it was going to be just 1 player available for William Blunt, which means that obviously they couldn't have finished the game. So to hear that they will at least have 3 players and it'll be 3-on-3, that's great news. Glad that they're going to be able to finish that game, but also even more interesting that they will be able to pull up players from their JV. I spoke with a coach last night who I thought confirmed to me and that said they would not be able to do that because they have submitted their championship rosters to the TSSAA, and those were the final rosters. So interesting that the TSSAA is going to allow that. I'm glad they are because I think playing the games is way better than not playing the games. So glad to hear.
Yeah, I think so too. It sounds like it's a moving target. It sounds like a lot of the aspects of it are moving as we speak. But that's the latest I heard today. But that's a wild situation. So
no question. Mo, are you there?
I am here.
Okay.
I've been in and out, but I am currently here. Bob, appreciate you, 1, bringing us up to speed on the Farragut William Blunt situation, and 2, taking some time with us as UT gets ready to take on Arkansas in what promises to be a raucous Thompson Bowling Arena, as have been each of the previous games. I mean, just watching UT's home games on TV, it feels like the atmosphere there this year has really gone up a notch. And I don't know if that's accurate or if it is, what that's attributable to.
Yeah, I think it is. We've had some big crowds here in the past, but now it's the third straight sellout, over 20,000 at Thompson Bowling Arena. That's never happened in consecutive games to have, standing room only games back to back to back. I think the reason for it, I think the fans really like this team. This team's been through, several setbacks, and they've seen these young players grow up. I mean, suddenly Olivier Combois gets knocked out and is out for the rest of the season. What's going to happen inside? Well, two guys that hadn't played hardly at all step up, and Brandon Huntley Hatfield and Jonas Adu, and suddenly they get a chance to play, and they're playing terrific. The freshman guards have energized the place. Santiago Vescovi has turned out to be one of the best players in the SEC. And I don't know, the fans really like this team. I think the fans understand that, this team's got a chance because of the way it's constructed with their, solid inside play now, and you got guard play. I mean, they could make a run in March, and I think the fans see that. The thing that's interesting about this team is I don't think they've reached their ceiling yet. I think with all these young players, I think the more experience they get and the tougher situations they put them in, they're better. They're getting better. And that's a good thing. I don't know how many teams around the country can say right now that they're getting better, but I think with every game that Jonas Adu and Brandon Huntley Hatfield play, I think you see the improvement in what Zakai Ziegler has added to this team has really been immeasurable. I mean, the energy he brings, the defense he brings. He and Kennedy Chandler are up at the top of the league in steals. It's hard to get to the basket against this team. They play great defense. So there are a lot of things to like about this team. And, if you go down through the years in any Tennessee sport, the fans have reacted when they put a good product on the floor, in football or in basketball, in baseball. When the teams play with good effort and they're well coached, the fans come out and they like these teams, and the fans really like this team, and they've really gotten better and better as this season has gone along.
Speaking with the voice of the Vols, Bob Kesling here on Main Street Sports Today. And Bob, I was going to ask you about Zakai Ziegler and the week he's had, but also you mentioned Santiago, and I got to ask you, because we've talked about it on this show before. How did we pronounce his name incorrectly for as long as we did, apparently?
I don't know. When he came, everybody called him Vescovi, and that's how we were told to pronounce his name. And every time we talked to him, he never corrected us. And nobody ever asked him, I don't think, especially, how do you pronounce his team? Well, when he got with the Uruguay national team over the summer, then they started calling him Vescovi. And he said, yeah, that's how our family's always pronounced it, but he didn't really care. The funny story that he told last year is the fact when he would go to restaurants and stuff here and put his name on the waiting list, the people there couldn't spell Santiago and had no chance with Vescovi, and so he just told him his name was Bob. Just put Bob there. Table for Bob.
Last name Kesling, right?
So,
yeah.
No, he never used my name. That wouldn't help him get a table, so he just put down Bob. So, but anyway, suddenly they get ready to play one of those early tournaments, and Fran Frischella comes out and says, it's Vescovi. I mean, that's how his, because he's big in international basketball, and he said it's Vescovi, and everybody asked Santiago, well, is that true? People were outraged that he's mispronouncing his name, and then he came back and said, no, that's how my family's always pronounced it. Well, why didn't you correct us? He said, I didn't see any reason to do it. So, it's funny, the first game that Bert and I did together after all this controversy stirred up, I said, we got this thing figured out. Bert, you call him Vescovi, and I'll call him Vescovi, and we'll have both bases covered. So we were good.
It's funny because this is not the first time this has happened in the last, 4 years, Bob. We had the Garantano issue as well.
Yes.
So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. you know, they don't correct you, and
Right.
sometimes you don't ask them exactly. So I don't know. Hey, you know what my dad used to tell me? He said, doesn't matter what they call you, just as long as they call you. So that's kind of the way I've looked at things.
Absolutely. Bob Kesling, the voice of the Vols, here with us on Main Street Sports today. Again, did want to get back to Zakai Ziegler because he has really become a fan favorite. Is it just the effort thing? I mean, you spoke to how this fan base will get behind a team that plays hard and plays well, and Zakai certainly does both of those.
Well, you know, it's an amazing story when you look at where he's coming. You know, people are learning more and more about what he's doing, and the difficulties he had. You know, the story comes out that you know, when he was in high school, he'd ride a train up on Long Island 2 hours to and from school every day, and you know, he would go from household to household, and sleep in the car sometimes, and you know, people didn't really know that story and how Rick Barnes found him and his coaching staff. And I mean, he's a guy who should be in high school right now. And the fact he came in and made immediate impact on this team has really been remarkable. So it's one of the great stories, I think, in college basketball, just how much he has done and how much he's been to this team. And, you know, you can feel the whole energy in the building lift when he comes on the floor, because they're expecting something to happen. I mean, he's either going to steal the ball and make a play or disrupt the other team. And what he has, I think the biggest thing he has done is he's made Kennedy Chandler better. When Chandler came in here, I mean, you know, he wasn't used to having people that could stay in front of him. You know, Kennedy, you know, he dominated West Tennessee basketball, and he could get any place on the floor he wanted to go. But suddenly here's the guy Ziegler, who is 5'9", is quicker than he is. And suddenly he can't get to the basket, and he can't get here, and he can't get there, and his passes are being deflected. And so I think they've made each other better. And I think as you've seen them go along now, they really are compatible with each other. When they play them both together, you know, Tennessee's really a hard team to drive on because they're so quick, and they get in the passing lanes, and both have good wingspans and have good ball skills, so they deflect the ball and knock it away and steal it. And, you know, they're 1 and 2 in the SEC games in steals. So that tells you how good their defense is.
Bob, you know, you talked about this defense, and I think the depth of this Tennessee team has been an often overlooked positive, because you have to have 10 guys who can give you really good minutes in order to play defense the way that this team does. And fortunately for Rick Barnes and his staff, they have 10 guys who play more than 10 minutes a game. And that is something that this team they need throughout the rest of the tournament.
Well, that's how you win games, especially in the NCAA tournament. You wear teams down, and you wear their guards down, and then you try and win in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Look at the teams that are at the top of the league in the SEC. They all do the same thing. Auburn wears you down. They wore Mississippi State down the other night, and were able to win that game in overtime. Kentucky does the same thing. They grind you down, and they make plays at the end. Arkansas did it to LSU the other night. They're down by 5 late in the game, and suddenly they wear them down and make steals and make plays and make free throws, and Tennessee does the same thing. So, you know, the best teams in this league are the best defensive teams. And most of them, you know, Arkansas is only playing 8 guys now. They've kind of cut their rotation down to 8, but everybody else at the top of the league is, and I guess LSU's probably playing 8 because they've had injuries, but the other teams, you know, Auburn, they're playing 10 or 11. Tennessee's playing 10 or 11. And so the depth is a real key factor for Rick Barnes, because, you know, he's got a couple of defensive specialists. You know, he puts Meshack or Victor Bailey in there, and they can come in for 4 or 5 minutes and they can dog Note and try and wear him out. And then they put Kennedy Chandler and Ziegler back in. Well, that's a luxury that a lot of teams don't have, that you can put a couple of these guys in, and maybe they're only going to play 4 or 5 minutes a game. But Coach Barnes expects those guys to come out and play hard those 4 or 5 do their job, as he says all the time. And I think that's a big advantage. And in some of these games, well, the Vanderbilt game, I think if you go back and look at it, Scottie Pippen was kind of getting hot. Well, they put Meshack on him in both games and held Pippen to two of his lowest scoring games on the season. And it's because Meshack came in for those 4 or 5 minutes and really got after him and made it tough on him to score. So it's a benefit and a luxury that Coach Barnes has that he does have 11 guys, and he can do situational, substitutions. And, foul problems really haven't plagued Tennessee. The only game that really threw him off kilter was the Arkansas game when both Ziegler and Kennedy Chandler and Vestivy got into foul problems, and that kind of threw off the rotation of guards. But other than that, they've been able to weather foul problems and been able to weather basically any kind of defense you throw at them.
I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to watching this one. It's going to be as good a college basketball game as you are going to see this weekend. Again, 14th ranked Arkansas, 13th ranked Tennessee, 11 a.m. tip. And you can, of course, watch it on ESPN, or you can listen to Bob Kesling on your local radio station on the Vol Radio Network. Bob, thanks for taking some time with us. We appreciate you, and looking forward to hearing you tomorrow.
All right, great. You guys take care of things there in the Mid-State for us, okay?
Thanks, Bob. We appreciate you. Yep.
Okay, guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
3-on-3, Mo.
For 90 seconds.
For 90 seconds.
And Farragut's leading by
13.
13? So
yeah. Not sure I'm coming back over if maybe I just give it up.
Or
not.
I don't know. I guess as long as you got a chance, man. You got a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
That's
exactly. All right, let's come back and talk about all the things that are going to happen this weekend. We'll talk about the SEC women's tournament that's currently going on and everything else that's happening across college sports this weekend. So stick around.
We've also got a bit of local news that has come down here in the last hour or so that we need to mention before we get out of here.
Didn't know if you'd done that already, so great. We will break some news here on Main Street Sports Today right after this. Stick around. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today. Mo Patton and JP Plant here with me, Chris Yao, on this beautiful Friday. First Friday here in Columbia. If you are in the southern middle Tennessee area, look for something to do tonight, come on downtown Columbia, as folks will be out on the square having a great time. So, Mo, you mentioned some breaking news on the backside of this break, so I will defer to you because this one's again it's southern middle Tennessee oriented, but that's our bread and butter. So, big news coming out of South Murray County.
Is that what that is?
I guess I'm going south on 43 when I get there.
Okay.
Right before I get to the line.
Well, okay. My Murray County geography is not great, even as long as I've been here. But at any rate, Zion Christian announced the hiring of former Columbia Academy football coach Charlie Lansdale as head coach and assistant athletics director. And apparently, with this, Zion, after 1 year of 8-man football competition, will be resuming 11-man for the upcoming season as an independent, with intentions of returning to the TSSAA as soon as possible, according to athletics director Derek Boyd in the release that was distributed right about the time we came on the air.
Mo, I spoke with Director of Advancement TJ Derrick yesterday at Zion Christian Academy, who, great sponsors of this show, and we appreciate all that they do. But it's when I mentioned something about TSSAA, he just kept saying, well, the goal is sooner rather than later, as soon as possible. I didn't realize it was going to be like
within less than 24 hours. Yeah. Well, I mean,
that was the case.
I had talked to Derek Boyd about a week ago, I guess. Maybe not even that. I think it was a Saturday. I can't remember when it was, because as JP has noted, my days have started to run together after a while. But
I thought it was Thursday all day long.
Yeah, whatever. Talk to Derek Boyd about a recent announcement that Zion would be joining a different 8-man football conference for the upcoming season. They were going to be one of 5 teams joining an 8-man conference, breaking off from the MTAC, the Middle Tennessee Athletic Conference, that sponsors 8-man football amongst their other athletic offerings. So, at that time, I asked Derek when they felt like they might be heading back toward 11-man, because he said that they were hoping to return to 11-man for the next classification period, which would be not this fall, but the fall of 23. And he said that was still the goal at that time. So I guess that got accelerated here in the last 10 days or so.
Certainly appears so.
It's interesting. I mean, we've got the release, and we just posted it to the website. It's up, and so didn't have much of an opportunity to ask a whole lot of questions, obviously, because we were busy with multiple other things between you and I. But there may be a follow-up to this, or this might just hold up. But Charlie Lansdale is back in the game, in the 11-man game. Jeff Jordan, who was hired roughly this time a year ago to coach 11-man before the decision was made to go to 8-man, will coach varsity football along with Lansdale and assist with building the Zion Eagles football program through its lower grades and a dedicated strength and conditioning program, according to the release. So
there you go. Some I guess some scores from around the world here. Belmont ousted the Austin P women 63-51 earlier today. Currently, Ole Miss women are leading Florida in the third period, 36-30. I think those are the only two that are currently taking place at this time. But, you know,
South Carolina finished off Arkansas 76-54 in the early game down at Bridgetown.
There you go. This last night's Alabama-Georgia game, I actually got home. When I got home, I turned it on, and Alabama just – it's like they've turned a corner here late, and that win over Tennessee kind of propelled them into – you know, this is a team that's 17-12 overall. Yeah, they're 6-10 in the SEC, but they've won 5 of their last 6, and their only loss in that was an 8-point loss at number 8 LSU.
And when you say it started with that win over Tennessee at Coleman Coliseum, that brings about an interesting point, since the late game tonight at Bridgestone is Alabama and Tennessee.
Exactly. So, you know, if you're Tennessee and Tennessee's been reeling as it is, and the fourth seeded Lady Vols are, you know, they've lost 3 of their last 5, and this very, very well could be a very physical and difficult matchup for Kelly Harper's group.
Yeah, I mean, certainly difficult. I mean, again, Tennessee struggled with them in Tuscaloosa, as you anticipated on the front end, but Tennessee has often struggled with Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight on a neutral floor, I think.
Oh, there's no question there. And then on the rest of that SEC tournament bracket is, I mean, you're sitting here looking at the top 4 seeds getting a chance to play today. South Carolina taking care of business, and you know, LSU and Ole Miss will also, which Ole Miss currently beating Florida. But this is the time that it gets to the nitty gritty, and for women's basketball, as we get ready for tournament play in men's basketball. But I mean, this is the best part of the tournament. This starting today through Sunday is always a lot of fun. So,
I think you've got to pay some attention to that LSU Kentucky game, because Kentucky did not have the season they wanted to have. They thought they would be. I think a lot of people expected them to be a top 4 seed in this tournament as the season went, and that didn't quite play out. And you know, if Ryan Howard isn't one of the top 3 players in this league, then there ain't a bull in Texas. I mean, so. I think that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yep. And tomorrow night, pro sports, we gave you on the rundown. Memphis hosting the Magic and NBA action. The Preds are on the road at San Jose. So plenty to watch over the weekend. Sit in front of the television, hang out, have a good time, and enjoy it. I want to mention this before we get out of here, Mo. Spring Hill graduate Kat Carter has been just absolutely dominant while at Jacksonville State. She is 7-0 and shut out Louisiana Monroe in her last outing. Just absolutely killing it for the Gamecocks. So congrats to her, and congrats to my Gamecocks.
Stay cocky, my friend.
That's right. All right, come back on Monday. We will tell you about all of the things that happened over the weekend. If we can't react to some of this stuff on Monday, I don't know, man. We got there's more sports than we can react to. So come back and hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. JP, we appreciate you pushing all the buttons today. As always, Mo, we'll see you next time. How about it?
That'll work.